I was lying in a hospital bed with an IV in my arm when my phone started vibrating against the metal tray beside me. The room smelled like antiseptic, and the heart monitor beeped steadily above my head. I answered anyway. It was my boss. He didn't ask how I was. He just said, "Don't bother coming back next week, Tene Hungab." That was the biggest mistake he ever made. Let me explain. I worked ground operations for a regional airline contractor. It was one of those jobs passengers never think about: loading luggage, guiding planes, hauling equipment in brutal weather, making sure flights leave on time. If we mess it up, hundreds of people felt it. We were always understaffed, and our manager, I'll call him Rick, ran the place like a dictator with a clipboard. Rick loved metrics, departure times, turnaround speeds, overtime percentages. He would walk around with a tablet, barking numbers at us like we were malfunctioning machines. "You're replaceable," he liked to remind us. Don't ever forget that. He never actually did the work. He had been promoted from a different department and had zero experience on the ramp. But that didn't stop him from micromanaging every strap, every cart, every movement. If you were 2 minutes late clocking in, public lecture. If you asked for a day off, we're a team. Don't be selfish. If you looked tired, maybe this job isn't for you. Turnover was insane. People quit constantly. The ones who stayed needed the benefits or couldn't afford to leave. I was one of the ones who stayed. At first, I convinced myself I could handle it. The overtime checks were decent. The flight benefits helped, and I'd been there long enough that I knew the operation inside out. What Rick didn't realize was that I trained most of the new hires. I knew the cargo system. I knew the scheduling loopholes. I knew the union contract better than he did, but the pressure kept building. We were short 3 workers going into peak season. Rick refused to approve more hires because it would hurt his labor metrics. So instead, he scheduled mandatory overtime. 12-hour shifts became normal. Breaks disappeared. One week I worked 9 days straight. I started getting headaches, then stomach pain. Then this constant tightness in my chest that I ignored because everyone else looked just as exhausted. One morning, I asked for a single day off. Rick smirked. "Stress leave," he said loudly so others could hear. "What is this? Therapy camp?" The guys laughed awkwardly. That was the culture. 2 weeks later, I was guiding in a flight at 5 a.m. when a sharp pain shot through my abdomen so hard I nearly dropped the Marshall wands. My vision blurred. I tried to push through it. Rick saw me leaning against a baggage cart. "If you're going to pass out, clock out first," he snapped. I didn't respond, because the next thing I remember, I was on the ground. Apparently, one of my coworkers called an ambulance when I couldn't stand back up. Rick complained about being short-staffed while they wheeled me away. At the hospital, they ran tests for hours. Severe dehydration, stress-induced gastrointestinal shutdown. My body had basically said, "Enough." The doctor was blunt. "If you keep going like this, it will get worse. You need several days off minimum." They handed me a medical note requiring mandatory rest. For the first time in months, he felt relief. Then my phone rang. It was Rick. I answered, because I thought stupidly. Maybe he was checking in. Instead he said, "You've missed 2 shifts." "I'm in the hospital," I replied. I sent the note to scheduling. "I don't care," he said. "Your attendance is unacceptable." I reminded him of the union policy: medical leave with documentation. Cannot count against attendance. Silence. Then, "I'm giving you a warning. When I get back from vacation next week, you're fired. Actually, don't bother coming back." Click. He wanted me to finish the week. He wanted coverage until it was convenient for him. And that's when something shifted in me. Because Rick had made a critical mistake. He fired me without written warning, without HR, without following union procedure, over a documented hospital stay. When I got home 2 days later, I pulled out the employee handbook. There it was in black and white. Progressive discipline required. Written warning first. Meeting with HR. Medical leave protected. He skipped all of it. So instead of arguing, instead of begging, I complied. If I was fired, I was fired. I didn't show up for my next shift. I didn't answer Rick's calls. I forwarded my hospital documentation directly to HR with one simple sentence. I was informed by my manager that I am terminated effective immediately. Please confirm final paycheck processing. Then I put my phone on silent. By 6 a.m., my coworkers were texting me. Are you coming in? Nope. You serious? Yep. Apparently, chaos broke out immediately. We were already understaffed. Without me, they had 4 people to cover 6 aircraft turns in under 90 minutes. Rick had to grab a reflective vest and start loading bags himself. Except he didn't know the cargo distribution system. Flights were delayed. A belt loader got missed. One plane pushed back 27 minutes late. And in the airline world, that's blood in the water. Corporate started calling. HR noticed my email. And then my phone lit up again. This time it wasn't Rick. It was HR. The tone was different. Hi, we just want to clarify your employment status. I calmly explained what Rick told me. Word for word there was a long pause. That doesn't align with procedure? She said carefully. Within hours, Rick started calling. He let it ring. He left a voicemail. Hey, there's been a misunderstanding. I didn't mean fired. I meant we'd talk next week. Fired. That phrase still makes me laugh. The next voicemail sounded less confident. Look, we're short-staffed. We need you back on the schedule tomorrow. Need. Interesting word. HR called again. We'd like you to come in for a meeting to discuss reinstatement. Reinstatement. Like they were doing me a favor. I agreed to a meeting 2 days later. Not because I needed the job, but because I wanted to see Rick's face. When I walked into the conference room, HR was seated at the table. Rick was there too. He wouldn't look at me. HR started talking about miscommunication. I let her finish. Then, I pulled out a printed copy of the union contract. I read the medical leave clause out loud. Then I read Rick's exact words back to him. Don't bother coming back next week. Silence. Rick tried to backpedal. That's not what I meant. I looked at him calmly. You said I was fired. HR shifted in her seat. I continued. You terminated me without written warning. Without documentation. While I was hospitalized. More silence. Then HR asked what I wanted. I had already decided. Option 1. Formal written apology. Removal of attendance. Marks protected medical accommodation. And confirmation in writing that retaliation would not occur. Option 2. I'll walk and escalate the policy violation formally. Rick looked pale, because now corporate was aware. Now, legal risk existed. Now metrics weren't the only numbers that mattered. HR agreed to everything. But here's the part Rick didn't expect. I declined. I folded the contract back up and stood. You told me not to come back. Primera Said. Evenly, I'm respecting that decision. And I walked out. 2 weeks later, I heard Rick was under internal review. Apparently, once HR started digging, they found other miscommunications, other attendance threats, other policy shortcuts. 3 months later, he was no longer managing the ramp. I got a job with a different airline contractor. Slightly better pay, better management, actual staffing levels. 2 of my old coworkers followed me within 6 months, and every once in a while, I think back to that hospital bed, the beeping monitor, the antiseptic smell. Rick telling me I was replaceable. Turns out I wasn't. He was. So here's the real lesson. If your workplace is pushing you to the point your body shuts down, that's not dedication. That is 6. Know your policies. Know your rights. And if someone fires you while you're in a hospital bed, sometimes the best revenge is simply taking them at their word. If you enjoyed this story, let me know in the comments. Would you have gone back or walked away like I did? And trust me, the next story makes this boss look reasonable.